posted something from your work in Scott's case. Would you be willing to look back at something that you had done 4 years ago or 3 years ago? Most of you were seniors. I know you're nodding your head. Yes, you'd be willing to.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, I've used other people's work in a previous blog that I've had, and, I mean, you can look at it in any number of ways, but I think it's flattering more than anything else.
And he got commission.
Yeah, it's flattering in as much as I was acknowledging how far he had come by making fun of where he had started. But he was actually, to be honest, he was actually just flattered I remembered him after 4 years. Undergrads often think that we just, you remember me? I'm the guy you spent, endless hours with in office hours, going meticulously over their prose. Do you remember? Yes, we remember. But, he was flattered, and he thought, because I did change it, I smoothed it out so it was funnier than it actually was initially, and he thought it was, he thought it was hilarious how I was making fun of him. But I wouldn't do that with, obviously, any student, but only ones that I had a good working relationship with, and ask permission.
It reminds me of, I don't know if you linked to it or if people linked you with that, but it reminds me of the Rate My Student controversy. You know about the Rate My Professor site, I'm sure, which we try not to look at. But there was one academic who decided to respond to the kind of facile and easy character assassination that was sometimes taking place on Rate My Professor, which, by the way, has as one of its built-in features the chilly rating of how hot. It's not really a very serious academic medium, let's say. And so he thought, Rate My Student doesn't have to be either. It can just be on the same level, right? You should see what kind of flame war he set loose there. So that's one of the things that can happen to any kind of blog, particularly if you're, as I said, in our case, in academia, but in any other kind of role where people who you have contact with professionally will then stumble upon your blog and say, hey, are you making fun of me? Are you complaining about me? Aren't you supposed to be, objective and professional and neutral? So.
And the other way, the other side of that is once you're known as a blogger, anytime you talk to anyone, they always say, you're not going to put this on your blog, are you?
Mm.
And no, I'm not going to. I don't put everything that everybody says. I'm not the Joe TV guy. Is that his name? That's not kind of what I do. But the Rate My Students thing was interesting because once that got, it actually was it was around and it was obscure for like 7 or 8 months. No one actually, and then someone, actually Jennifer Howard at the Chronicle of Higher Education, the Humanities beat reporter, picked up on it, wrote an article, and then all of a sudden it exploded, and people started sending in anonymously their complaints about their students, and that's kind of it's a good example of kind of media constructed firestorm. That blog was operating in the wilderness under the radar. It got picked up, and all of a sudden now it's but it,
And people often, in the process of vanity searching, find things that they then overreact to. And I mean, I think that an interesting case is this UCLA controversy about a conservative group that was paying students to do sort of behind-the-scenes reporting about the liberal bias of their professors.
UCLA profs.
And provide a star system to indicate sort of how left-wing these professors were. Now the funny thing is, this was started by a young crank, and who was, one person essentially putting this site
founded
together.
his own fake alumni group.
Who created a fake alumni group, who created this whole sort of mechanism of this conservative organization that turned out to really be one guy, if you looked at it closely, and not a particularly good writer guy either, but then once UCLA faculty got all upset about this, conservative conspiracy, then it became a big media story, and then people were actually going to the site and taking it seriously. Well, if they had just ignored it, right, to understand that, I think that I wrote an essay about that, something like, do you know the word gullible isn't in the internet, and just about the sort of, the way that, I mean, I'm often fascinated by the fact that professors can have terrible media literacy skills, that they look at sites and they really take them on face value, and the things we tell our students not to do. I mean, I can't tell you how many department websites have gotten upset about things like Bonsai Kitten, and it's like, you know, it's fake, it's a hoax, it's an internet hoax, it's mean, don't take it seriously. But
a lot of the UCLA faculty actually, I don't know, I think they got that. I wrote a parody of that site in which I kind of determined everyone in the English department was a communist and a feminazi, and it actually got forwarded around the UCLA English department, my post, and
Be careful, Scott.
no, actually,
now, are you on Scott's committee?
No, but I follow him.
yeah, I do get
Not
in
yet, I
trouble.
might be.
But no, my wife took a class at UCLA at the same time, and one of the professors that I parodied, Christopher Baswell, actually mentioned it in the class she was taking at UCLA at the time, and she kind of had to sit there and go, wait a second, that's my husband. But yes, the danger in having any kind of online persona is that you can be kind of just attacked randomly. Anyone in admin at UCI will tell you that I'm a racist, as they all learned this summer when a crank who writes for a small Wisconsin newspaper sent everyone on the UCLA admin, the California government, local, state officials, the Democratic Party, indicating that I was in fact a racist and supporting racist speech, and he still sends about an email a week. He copies me the email he sends to everyone, and he's actually talking with the head of the Office of Equal Opportunity and Development. He's had a kind of ongoing conversation with her for like 6 months now, where he just kind of takes apart every word of her response, word by word. You know, by racist, what I mean is, by I mean the singular person of Scott Cal. It's just, so that there is always this kind of danger, actually, of opening yourself up to the public. However, I still blog. I think the benefits outweigh the not unsizable drawbacks sometimes.